Welcome to Beyond the Wish, where we delve into the power of wishes and the people who make them possible. Today's episode is all about wishing it forward. Today's episode is going to be hosted by Jillian, our Senior Signature Events Coordinator here at Make-A-Wish, Illinois, who is our staff liaison for the Associate Board. Joining her is Conor O'Brien, member of the Associate Board and Wish alumni. He's going to share his story about how his wish inspired him to wish it forward as an Associate Board member. Enjoy.
Hey, Conor. Thanks
Hey,
so much
Jillian.
for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Happy to have you here.
Excited to do this.
Yeah, welcome to Beyond the Wish. First off, why don't you introduce yourself to our listeners and tell us who you are?
Definitely. Conor O'Brien. I'm Vice President of Operations at a managing general underwriter based out of New York City. Work downtown here in Chicago. As we'll kind of get into, I'm a former Wish kid, former Wish grantor, and now current member of the Make-A-Wish Illinois Associate Board.
Yes. And we will definitely get into the Associate Board later. As you mentioned, you're a Wish alum, so why don't you take us back on your Wish journey? How old were you, and what was your wish?
Definitely. I'll take you back 31 years ago. 32, yeah, actually. I was 3 years old here in Chicago. I lived in Roscoe Village with my family. I had been diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia. Obviously a very dark time for my family, but kind of jumping ahead, because I'm sure we'll come back to that. The first thing I remember about my wish is my parents coming to me and just kind of saying, like, okay, Conor, this is going to sound weird, but you're going to get to wish for something that you want more than anything in the world. And they kind of like talked me through it. They started kind of like letting me understand what it was going to be like, some of the ideas, like kind of not putting things in my head, but just kind of like having me understand, like, wait, I could wish for anything in the world.
Yeah.
So then Make-A-Wish comes by. We have 2 volunteers, and these blue shirts come by, and immediately they give me and my sister gifts, which I remember to this day. They gave me a red and yellow otter that like swims with arms and everything like that. I'm sure my mom still has it somewhere. I held on to that for a very long time.
Yeah.
And they gave my sister a purple and white whale, which she proceeded to throw into the seal exhibit at Lincoln Park Zoo. No. So different experiences
there.
Love
that.
Right. Before they even got into the wish, just that token of incredible, generosity of getting us these gifts as a 3-year-old at the time was just so amazing. The 2 Wish volunteers like played with me and my sister and like got to know us and everything. So that was really fun. And then we kind of like got into the questions. Being 32 years ago, it's hard to remember exactly what they were asking me. But, finally they were asking things like my favorite color, my favorite, food, similar to what I do as a Wish grantor now. And then they kind of like really build up to like, okay, like now it's time to like get to your wish. So to me, the choice was kind of obvious. I was a young boy in Chicago. It was mid-90s. I was a huge Bulls fan. So obviously I wanted to meet the biggest celebrity in the world, who in my mind was Donald Duck.
What a setup. Yeah. I'm sure that's not what people were expecting you to say.
I've told that story a couple times.
But it does make sense. It does make sense for Donald Duck is prime celebrity.
Oh, big time. But yeah, so met Donald Duck. It was an incredible experience. Went out to Disney World. They set us up in Give Kids the World Village, and it was just incredible.
You touched on this a little bit, but take us back a little. What was life like before your wish? You mentioned it was a little difficult for your family, of course, with your diagnosis. But what sort of challenges were you all facing at that time?
So, great question. Again, I'm going to have to make some assumptions because it was, 32 years ago. But between stories and some of my memories, I've got like 4 distinct memories from before the actual wish. First one is my 3rd birthday at Chuck E. Cheese, the one on Fullerton that's still somehow there. I've got my first night in the hospital, which was extremely scary. I distinctly remember my IV fell out and like I was up all night. Very scary time for like a kid. To go back one, I do kind of remember my mom being worried and me being very tired as a 3-year-old at my grandparents in Hilton Head. So like that's the first like build up. And that kind of started the process of my mom like taking me to the doctor and them saying like, oh, he's just tired, and kind of a back and forth until it was finally like, oh, wait, he is sick. So, that kind of, I remember distinctly being in Hilton Head, like kind of dragging my leg along. So I'm glad that one kind of gets blocked out more by the wish. And then And my last one was, there are these things I had to get for leukemia called spinal biopsies. And I don't remember too much of the treatment, but I definitely remember those. That was, those were pretty painful. Those were pretty brutal. But again, not something I think about too much when I think about that time period. I think about what transpired after that.
We just went before the wish. Now, after the wish, how did you feel that impacted your medical journey, but also your family and how you guys felt emotionally after getting back from the wish?
I think it was honestly crucial to like our mindset. It was, like I said, very dark times before that. I'd never seen, like, that was the first time I kind of remember my dad crying, was when I was like first diagnosed. That was kind of like all I really remember. The biggest thing I remember from that period, especially like after the wish, is like thinking I was a celebrity, thinking I was special. I had known I was different from like when I was sick and like kind of like starting to grow up and like know other kids, and I like knew I was sick and knew I was like different, quote unquote, but like this made me feel like different and special for like such a better reason. And it like made me feel like I was really like special and like an actual celebrity, between, you know, getting picked up in a limo, getting like cut in the lines, you know, being able to like be like chauffeured to like meet Donald Duck. It like told me like, yeah, I was different, but I was very special for this. So like it made me totally forget about some of those like dark times. My family, obviously, like they said it just totally improved my energy. You know, I was still like going through treatment like here and there, but it was it just completely made me a happier person. It made me like stronger. It made me like me and my sister like play around more, and like me and my sister still share this wish. I always joke around that she kind of tagged along on my wish. She got to do all this cool stuff because of me, but whatever.
So fast forward to today, and you're now part of the associate board, which we mentioned earlier. And so I guess my first question is, what inspired you to get involved?
I'll back up just a little bit on that, just because I took kind of a big break in between being a wish kid, obviously, and then doing some like walks and stuff with my parents like right after. So I was like kind of involved with Make-A-Wish there, but then a long period went through where like I got to brag about my wish, and it was always a big part, but like I had gotten so much from Make-A-Wish, and I hadn't given anything back yet, besides maybe like an appearance or a walk or whatever. The first time it really like I thought like maybe I should start getting involved was first job out of college. Like I worked at a big company, and they basically had this program where you could donate part of your paycheck to a charity of your choice. I saw that. I'm like, you know what? I should do that. And then like the first charity that popped into my mind was Make-A-Wish. And for some reason that like really triggered. So like I donated money there, but even more so than that, that just kind of triggered, like that was the first thing that came in your mind. Like that's such a big part of your childhood. Like it's one of the first things you bring up. Like you bring up that you had cancer, and then you bring up that you were a wish kid. So it's like a very big identity. It's like, why don't you're making money now, you're kind of an adult now, why don't you start to like bring this more into like your identity from like a different perspective? They've given you so much, how can you start to like give back to that? So yeah, it was really that like first job where I started to kind of give back. Once I kind of, you know, from an outside perspective as just like donating as someone like on the outside of the organization, I wanted to take yet another step. And I kind of remembered back to those two volunteers and like how happy it made me, how like special it was. So I thought I kind of wanted to try that out. I wanted to actually like donating money was great, but like I also wanted to donate some of my time. Yeah. So I became a wish granter when I lived in Cincinnati. Just an incredible experience. I probably granted like 10 wishes while I was out there, and just each one was just amazing and incredible. Yeah, it was just like a great time in my life, and it's just to be with people like this entire journey and see like the end product, and a lot of them being able to like see them off as they go to Disney World or go on a shopping spree with them, or just, you know, kids are so clever with what they come up with in wishes. Yeah. Mine wasn't as clever. Mine was super fun, but it was mine went along with the majority. But like some of the wishes that some of these kids come up with is really amazing. It's really cool to see the creativity on the Make-A-Wish side too, being able to, you know, be given limited information, but create these like grand experiences for kids.
Yeah, really dream big.
Right, exactly. And then moving from Chicago, continued my wish granting, but you know, I had started a new job. I was in a big city in Chicago. I wanted to, start to meet like-minded people that were interested in the mission. I wanted to network with other young professionals. My wife, who's kind of in the event planning world, had done a lot with associate boards. So she kind of introduced the idea to me that I should look into that. And then I just kind of started I reached out, I think, on LinkedIn, and I filled out the application, and yeah, the rest is history.
Can you share what role the associate board plays in supporting the mission? I think it might come best from someone who's a current member themselves and knows so much like you do.
Totally. So the associate board at its core is a group of young professionals in Illinois. It's centered around, our offices are in Chicago, so a lot of people are Chicago based, but we do have some people who are in the greater Chicagoland area and farther. Basically, it is to, again, kind of create a group with people that are inspired by the mission, that want to start to not just donate funds themselves, but really raise some serious funds, lean on their professional and personal networks to get sponsorships, get in-kind donations. So it obviously is good for the foundation as well. People who are looking for professional development, it's a great place to network with other people. Even at its pure professional level, it's a good resume. It's a good thing on your resume. People like to see that, you're philanthropic and everything. So it provides a lot of benefits to those who join. And it's just good. I started in 2018 and I'm still on the board now, so I've kind of seen the whole evolution, as a lot of associate boards have seen, a lot of in-person stuff. Then COVID hit, the adjustments that we had to do, and now we're kind of back to getting in-person and everything. So it's been quite a journey, but it's been an interesting time to be on the board, just to see how people went from in-person social club to Zoom, social things, and now kind of back in person, but we still kind of do Zoom. So yeah, it's been a journey.
Yeah, you made a good point. I mean, for those who don't know, I work with the associate board. I am the staff liaison between the associate board and Make-A-Wish. So I obviously know all of the members very closely, and they're all very near and dear to my heart. So you made a good point that there's many reasons that we see why people join and are interested, whether it be to build their resume, or whether they're a Wish alum, or they're friends on the board and they heard about it, or they're just looking for something to do in their free time. There's countless reasons why people might join the board. What I've seen is that a lot of people, they get tied in. It's the mission, it's the kids, it's what we do, and people get really passionate about it. So it's really inspiring to see such a large group. There are about 40 members this year. So yeah, it's really inspiring to see such a large group work together and pull off such an incredible event.
Definitely. And we may get into this more, but the role I've held for the majority of my time on the associate board was as the recruitment chair, one of two recruitment chairs. And, we have a very wide range of skills on the board, wide range of backgrounds and everything like that. We recruited like that every single year based on kind of our needs. But the one kind of, mandatory thing that we had was some kind of want to be engaged in the mission or inspired by the mission, or some kind of connection, because while it can be a good resume builder and it can be a good networking event, we wanted to know why Make-A-Wish and why you were drawn to this board, and we wanted to make sure that you were in it for the right reasons.
This is a good segue actually into I Wish to Party, which is our main fundraiser. I'll let you talk a little bit about that, but the associate board members bring in everything for that event, between sponsorships, like you said, silent auction items, restaurant partners, decorations. So there's quite a bit that goes into it. Yeah, our associate board members are true leaders and heroes in pulling off such a wonderful event. So definitely. Speaking of I Wish to Party, do you want to give a little plug for I Wish to Party this year?
Absolutely. One of my favorite events I've ever been to. This year, February 21st, 2026, obviously. Really looking forward to it. This is going to be my 8th or 9th, because I did start to go before I joined the board, and it is just an incredible event. I mean, obviously I'm a little biased, but even before I joined the board and I was going to this event, it was just incredible. The program that they put on is so inspiring every single year. The band that they get is just so fun. The silent auction items are amazing. Just the vibes all around are just so happy and so inspirational. It's just every single year, I think I'm going to I've been a number of times, it's going to get stale, and that just is never the case. I just look forward to it every single year. So, and I think I would, regardless of if I was on the board or not on the board. So like you said, that's one of the special things about our board, is that event just wouldn't exist without us. It wouldn't exist without you, obviously, either. You do a lot of the heavy work as well as far as logistics and the planning and everything like that.
Yeah, couldn't do any of it without what the amazing donations and support that you guys bring in. So.
Yeah, so the just creativity, again, the creativity that some of these people are able to get with their donations and restaurants and sponsorships, like that's, just amazing that these people are, willing to make the asks and, don't ever like back down or anything like that. They just understand that like this is going towards a good mission. This is how wishes get granted, and it results in a spectacular night every year.
Every year. And yeah, this year will be no exception.
Definitely can't wait.
So we will put the link in the description to purchase your tickets. Yeah, we hope to see you there. It's definitely a fun event.
Very fun.
And so Connor, how would you say your experience as a Wish child influenced your approach to your role on the associate board?
That's a great question. So kind of looking at the makeup of our board, again, I've been on for like maybe 6 or 7 years. During that time, it's varied between, there's been multiple Wish alumni, but not too many. So I've kind of fallen into that role of being that direct perspective of this is the end product of a Wish. Like I can speak to it directly, not someone I knew, not a friend, anything. Like I experienced it, and like what we're doing is an incredible thing. And one of the ways we kind of played into kind of having Wish alumni on the associate board is for most of the role I've held the most has been our recruitment chair. And I actually served, my other chair was also a Wish alumni. She also went to Disney World. I believe she met Minnie Mouse, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, two of the bigs.
Exactly, yeah, no, celebrities. So that was a really cool time because, while we were interviewing folks, we really got to tell our own stories. We really were able to reach a lot of people and give them the direct perspective of the impact that this can have. And through a lot of it, we were also, I think, able to get really like strong candidates who were very tied into the mission because, we were able to have like really good conversations. They were able to ask us, about our wishes directly. And I think it just led to, a lot of good years. And as you can see on our board now, we have a lot of like strong candidates who are really tied into the mission. We've both since stepped away from the recruitment chair role, but the people we have now are also doing a great job bringing in continuous talent and everything like that. So that was just a really cool time, and I think strategy by our board a few years ago to really take a stab at putting in some Wish alumni kind of in front of people we're trying to bring in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know we're always bringing to the front that our mission is to grant life-changing wishes for children facing critical illnesses, not terminal illnesses. So it's just you two are just even, two more examples of how a wish can be a pivotal moment in your medical journey, and you can grow up to be a flourishing, a successful adult, happy, healthy. And yeah, I think just reminding people of that, people who maybe know our brand but don't know all the details. Yep,
exactly. And it is, like you said, it's really good to push that it's critical illnesses and not, that Make-A-Wish has been around, nationally since the 80s at this point. So like a lot of, people who, have been lucky enough to like survive their original, illnesses, they're growing up, some of the people in the 80s, the 90s and everything. And it's just, I hope to just inspire kids who are either the same age I was or, older. I just hope that seeing me grown up, I have a daughter of my own now, just to hopefully kind of inspire them that, you can get through this, and while you might leave your sickness behind, like the wish will stay with you forever. And like I still think about it. It's still like a big part of my identity in my life. So
what does wishing it forward mean to you, Connor?
To me, when I hear wishing it forward, it's really like in everyday life, you don't know what blessings or what, obstacles or struggles people are going through. And it's, small things can make a big difference. If I just go back to like those two wish granters, again, giving me just that toy and playing with me, they probably didn't realize it in the moment or anything, but like I still think about that constantly. Like I held on to that toy for years and years and years. I still tell that story, and like that was even before the most incredible, like one of the most incredible days of my life in getting this big, huge wish, and just being there and like making me feel so special with like these little toys and like asking me my favorite foods and my favorite colors to like ultimately specialize the wish for me. And it just like, you just don't know how much like these small gestures can really like have a huge impact in people's lives and like really like make their like wishes and dreams come true.
Absolutely. It's all about making the wish child feel like you said, everything's about them. They're the most important person in, in this time.
Yep.
Everything's about them. Customizing it, making it special for them
Right.
in any way you can, big or small.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So Connor, earlier you mentioned a few different ways that someone could be a wish maker and support Make-A-Wish. What would your advice be to someone who is looking to either be involved with the associate board specifically or volunteer with Make-A-Wish and get involved somehow?
Great question. First and foremost, I would say, honestly, again, coming in with a little bias, but I would say come to I Wish to Party. Even before I joined the associate board, like I said, I went a number of years, and it is such a fun event. Bring your friends, bring your family. It's, we have a whole program that kind of delves into, the mission of Make-A-Wish, kind of explains everything. But just as important, all of our AB members are there, and they've got name tags on, and they're very accessible and very easy to coordinate with. They love to chat. Come find me. I'm happy to chat about my experience on the board. Like I said, I used to be the recruitment chair, so I have a lot of contacts here. I can set you up in, getting you like to be a wish granter on the board or anything like that. So I Wish to Party is a great start just because you'll have so many resources there. You'll have a great program that will really go into the mission, and then just it's a lot of fun. So at worst, you have a fun night.
Yes, and there's also other events that you could get involved in too. And I will say, check out the link in the description for the Make-A-Wish Illinois events calendar. That will have other events that you can get involved in addition to I Wish to Party, as well as online trainings to become volunteers. So definitely check that out if you're at all interested.
I was going to say, yeah, I mean, I've been to a lot of, non-associate board events as well. I think we did the Wishes for on Water a few, and then the Walk for Wishes, and our associate board members all have their own individual fundraisers. So yeah, I think that events calendar is a great area to check because there'll be a number of things you can do there.
How have you seen your involvement making a difference for future Wish kids?
I've just kind of, through the nature of it, I've kind of become the point of contact for my family friends and from friends and people who know people. Like, they know I'm involved in Make-A-Wish because of my work through the board and everything. And I have, had a number of instances at this point where, friends of friends or acquaintances have come to me and ask, like, how can I get more involved in Make-A-Wish? And these are people who might not have pursued a wish, but they've like heard my story or they've heard me talk about it. And because they, have access to me, like they can kind of get access, take that leap in kind of joining the program. Again, a lot of people are just, sometimes confused that, they think it's for terminal cases only. So people with critical but maybe not terminal illnesses don't think they're eligible. So, I like to kind of explain that as well. And that's opened up a few doors where like I've introduced, friends of friends with kids who are struggling with a critical illness to the foundation. And I feel that I've kind of made a difference in at least those kids' lives.
I'm sure you have. Yeah. And like you said, I know our referral team is always working hard to make sure that every eligible child, knows that they're eligible, like you said. So I know they're working really hard for it, but we definitely rely on our alumni community and our whole Wishmaker community to help us spread that information and get the word out there. So Connor, thank you so much for your time today. One last question. What's one thing you hope listeners take away from your story today?
Honestly, that a wish is forever. Like I said, I've said it a couple times, like that was 32 years ago that I had my wish granted, and I still have a photo of me and Donald Duck and me in my little Make-A-Wish shirt hanging in my daughter's room. It is more so than like I am a cancer survivor. I tell people that I was a wish kid, and it's a very big part of my childhood when, a lot of my thoughts could have been about treatment and like those, shots and spinals and chemo and all of that. Instead, the much bigger part of my identity, always has been, is that I was lucky enough to be a wish kid. I was treated as a celebrity, and I got to have this amazing experience because of this wonderful foundation.
So Connor, how can people connect with the Associate Board and Make-A-Wish Illinois if they're interested?
So I'm happy to help facilitate any of this stuff. Like I used to be the recruitment chair, so obviously like I have a lot of contacts and happy to help anyone who might want to reach out. But more so on the Make-A-Wish website, there should be a lot of information on our associate board. Also, to be a wish granter, they provide a lot of great resources on there.
Thank you so much, Connor, for your time today. It was truly inspiring to hear more about your story.
Thanks so much for having me, Jillian. It was so much fun.
Thanks.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Beyond the Wish. For all information on buying tickets for I Wish to Party, joining the associate board, or becoming a wish granter, see the links in our show description. Until next time, best wishes.